Hi, my name is Avery Goodman. I'm here with the Samuel Proctor Oral History Program here in the Elaine Legacy Center in Elaine, Arkansas. The date is July 13th, 2023, and I'm here with my co-interviewers,
JoAnn Almonte
and Vanessa Obando.
And we're just going to start with, what are y'all's names, where were you born, and when were you born?
My name is Caylin Jones. I was born July 9, 2001 in Torrance, California.
My name is Brianna Jones. I'm 20. I was born May 26, 2003 in Linwood, California.
My name is Alyssa Jones. I'm 11. I was born 2011, July 19th in Las Vegas, Nevada.
So we talked with your father earlier, but a lot of you were born outside, but all of you were born outside of Arkansas. What was it like coming from Las Vegas, coming from California back to Elaine?
It was a culture shock. Like, the nearest, we were used to going to like malls and things like that. The nearest mall in Arkansas is 2 hours away. But to go to like closer, we can go to like Memphis, and that's like an hour away. Food, there's like a few restaurants that we can go to go out to eat. So that was one of the biggest changes for me.
It was everything. It was so like slow here. Like I noticed like everything, like even like the Walmart, there's like barely anything in there and stuff like that. And then the whole like moving from everything being on every corner somewhere to we have to go hours to get like simple things sometimes. And then the weather was a big shock because mosquitoes, and it's hotter here actually than Las Vegas because it's like humid heat instead of like Vegas is like dry heat. So like we didn't really sweat like that there, but here like it's sticky and just that was a big thing too. It's like weather in Arkansas was weird.
It's just that it takes a long time to go everywhere. That's all.
I have one more thing to say. And the farmland, because everywhere is just crops, like everywhere. So, yeah. Oh, I also have something else to say. We lived here for a couple years when we were like little kids, like 6. I was 4 to 7. We lived here for 3 years, and I just wanted to share that part because, yeah.
And then I know you two are graduated, but where did you guys go to high school, and where are you currently attending school?
I've been homeschooled since the 6th grade.
That's right.
Mm-hmm. I've been homeschooled since all high school. I was homeschooled. So, and then
I've been homeschooled since 2nd grade. Yeah.
It's just easier, I think.
Yeah.
We grew up, but like hearing about like the schools here, like even Barton that most of the kids down here go to, hearing about like how the education isn't that good and the teachers aren't treating kids correctly and racism and all that stuff like that. And then my mom hearing about that, and then anyway in Vegas she didn't like the school system there, so it was just easier to just homeschool. And we actually learned a lot of stuff, more stuff than if we were to be in school. So yeah.
Could you talk about why it is that you have moved around a lot in your life?
I ask my mom that question all the time. I think it's first time we moved here. I think my parents just wanted a fresh start, and because my grandma was here, and we didn't meet her till we moved here. My dad's mom. The second time, I think my mom missed the city, so that's why I moved to Vegas. The last time, family again, and Vegas became really, really expensive. So here, my parents save a lot of money, and I think that's one of the reasons why we moved back here. do you think?
I think the same in family. Like, we have family there, but, like, we never really interacted that much with my dad's side of the family because they were all the way across the country.
Except for his grandma, Emma.
Yeah, our great-grandma, she lives in California, and our great-aunt, and then a couple of aunts and uncles live there, but majority of them are here in Lakeview and Elaine and all that stuff. So I think that's, if that was your question, if I answered it right, it probably, yeah.
Could you actually, you mentioned that your dad's moms live here, so your grandma. Do you know any family members that go beyond your grandma's generation?
I, in fact, do, actually. I've been researching, because about the Elaine massacre, I wanted to see if we had any family in general that was, like, from Elaine. So I went on Ancestry, and I, like, did the whole thing, and I went back all the way on my dad's side. I found out that our family's from Snow Lake, which is Dacia County, which is probably about an hour, I think, away from here. So we have family from there that has farmland now, because a lot of our uncles are farmers. So I found out her mom and her grandma, we found out that how they were, found out their race, they're mulatto. That, I think her name was Ethel Clark was my great-grandma's mom. Yeah. And then I also found repeat names in our families dating back like 3 generations, I think. So like Ethel's aunts and uncles were the same names as my great aunts and uncles. So like the names repeat. So I found out that. And then I found my family dated back to Mississippi and all that stuff like that. So that was cool stuff. Nothing in Elaine though, which was weird, I think. But I didn't get in on my dad's side because he has family.
He has family, the Duncans, that we know some of them, but we don't know all of them. But Faye Duncan, I think you guys interviewed her. She's our cousin. Cousin-ish, kind of. So they are from here and also from Dacia County. And that's how everybody down there from down there, I feel like everybody somehow is related. Do you have anything to say? No.
And then I found something else too, that a lot of people that live in Lakeview now all originated from the same person. Her name was Louisiana Johnson, and I think she was born in 1820 or something like that. I had researched it and found out she was in like 23 family trees on Ancestry. Louisiana Johnson all dated back, and she was, I think, our 4th or 5th great grandmother. So
she was our Joe Jones,
Joe Jones is our great grandpa.
So great grandpa. It was he was her grandson. Yeah. And that's how we went back pretty far.
Kind of moving from family, I know that you're expecting soon, which is very exciting, but talking about driving so far, how does it feel having to go so far for a birthing center or just medical access here in general?
It sucks because honestly, I feel like our hospital doesn't really care. Like, they send us home they tried to send my grandmother home when she has high blood pressure. Her blood pressure was way too high, and they tried to send her home, and my dad had to fight for her to stay. And as far as the birthing center goes, the birthing center here, the women's clinic, it closed, was it 2 years ago? Mm-hmm. 2 years ago. And so people, for checkups and everything like that, we had to go to Clarksdale or Forest City, which they're both around the same distance. But I don't like it. It could be better.
Okay, I ain't got to be.
You mentioned fighting for things. How has the fight for water been? I know this area has a lack of access to water, so how has that impacted your guys' life so far?
Well, this isn't a big impact, but as a pregnant woman, I crave Sonic drinks a lot. And Sonic was closed for a very long time. They have their own personal water now for when because the water got shut off again. But for when the water gets cut off, they can still be, But the bathrooms, public bathrooms, restaurants, everything was closed down for almost 2 weeks. And because where we live at in our area, our water was not off. But a lot of my friends had no water for almost 2 weeks at all. And it was sad.
since we moved here, like we used to live in Lakeview, our water's been trippy. Like once a week, once or twice a week, the water would just cut off. And like we wake up, there's no water, or like in the middle of the day, there's no water, and we wouldn't know why. Like we wouldn't have any water.
They wouldn't call.
Yeah, it would just be out of nowhere. Our water's cut off for like 10 hours or however long, and then when you cut the water back on, the water's brown for like, it's only like for a little bit, but it's just still like gross to turn your water on and it's like brown. And then even our old house, which is the big reason we moved from Lakeview, is a pipe in my parents' bathroom busted and it flooded our room and all that. So like I feel like the water has always been a little trippy, even for years since we've been here.
Also, was it in, I think it was like in November, is when we started having big water problems. We were on a water boil for a long time, and after the boil was lifted, I could smell bleach in our water.
Oh, and it was a film.
It was over the water,
so
you could see a film on top of it. And it'll last for like a couple days, and then it'll go away. And at first I thought I was like tripping because why is there bleach in the water? But I wasn't the only one that smelled it. My friend smelled it too, and my boyfriend at the time smelled it. So I felt like that was kind of weird, like we had bleach in our water. But I haven't smelled it since that one time. That's when we had a water boil. We were on a water boil for almost a month. You have something to say?
The bleach smell was very terrible.
Could you talk about what the community response has looked like to this water crisis?
We have a Helena was Helena like news page. I don't know who it was ran by, but he or she covers for everybody, Elaine, everything. And a lot of people are very, very upset. They did the live stream of the water meeting. That was a couple of days ago, and it was a heated discussion about it because it impacted a lot of people, and a lot of people who couldn't. They were giving out water, but it was limited. And I think Walmart limited water too. Like you can only get like 2 cases of water. It was they weren't happy about it.
I think the response, like with them fixing the water, could have been better. Like, when I saw, it was a video going on Facebook, it showed like where the water company was. Water was like leaking out the side of the building, like running down the side or something like that. And then they showed the pictures of them pushing stuff through the water. Like, I don't know what it was. I don't know if it was mud or something, but you could see the water. And then everywhere, like she said, everywhere was closed. And then it was places here, like it's another place in downtown Helena, if you guys go, it's called the Hunt Center. They were giving out free water, and they were letting people they had running water in Helena, so they were letting people in there to use the bathroom and everything like that. And so like it was more so community-wise than like people in power that were doing anything for it. Like we had to like help ourselves. Like it was other people that had to fix things and help everybody. So
I'm circling back a little bit, but earlier you mentioned that the hospital doesn't really care for its people. Have you witnessed any racial differences maybe? Like has your racial identity contributed to that mistreatment?
I feel like in a sense it does, because as a black woman, we get told that we don't know what we're talking about when it comes to our own bodies. So I feel like in a sense it does. Like when I had my first anxiety attack, he tried to tell me it was asthma. And he gave me an asthma pump and sent me home. And my mom felt like it wasn't right. And then when I went to another doctor who I love, I still see her to this day, she knew exactly that's not what it is. She said, that doesn't make any sense. And it's like they misdiagnose you and they just try to get you out the way. But if it was somebody that didn't look like me, I feel like they would have got a better treatment than I did.
I would say something my mom told me. She went in there. So my mom has systemic lupus, and so she went in. I think it was for high blood pressure, right? Her blood pressure was like, I don't even know what it was, but it was like really high. Like she almost passed out. So she was in the hospital room, and they had told her that it was anxiety, and that's why her blood pressure was so high. And they wouldn't give her like anything for it or anything. She had to go all the way. I think she had to go all the way to Little Rock to get medicine, because like the closest rheumatologist is in Little Rock, so that's like 2.5 hours away for her to get treatment. And then so she stopped going to the ER down here whenever she has any problems, because they don't do anything for her. So I feel like that involves that they don't really care and they just want to get you in and out here without really focusing on what's actually going on, unless you're like bleeding or shot or something like that.
They have high priority over like the shooting, which is understandable, but those get treated a lot faster than anything else because that's what mostly happens here.
Shootings, stabbings.
Yeah.
And have you seen a difference in treatment here in Arkansas versus California and Las Vegas?
Absolutely. I loved my doctor when I was a kid in Vegas more than my first doctor here. She made me feel like I didn't know what I was talking about. She made my mom feel like she didn't know what she was talking about either, so we switched. And in Vegas, I don't remember her name, but she was Dr. Saunders. She was a really nice lady. She listened to everything that we said. So there was a change. And I feel like if we were probably in California, my mom would have better treatment for her stuff. And my dad, too, because he has problems, but they're not like my mom's. Mm-hmm. But I feel like he would be doing better, too, if he was in a bigger city that had better resources.
What was the question again? I was listening, but I forgot the question.
Just the differences in how you've been treated in here versus California and Las Vegas.
I feel like it's definitely a vibe-wise. Like, you can walk in a room and definitely tell that you're not welcome, like, for that wise. And then even at the college that I went to the community college in Helena for nail tech, and our teacher treated the white kids better than the black kids. So she went to the same one too, and we know her. She was definitely racist, and she did not treat people like, she didn't treat us equally as black people, like the black girls and the white girls. Like, it was very adamant, and like I didn't realize, like, in Las Vegas, I didn't really get, now I don't really get many racial situations, but like just seeing it like happen to other people, and then just seeing it, I guess, in real life is so much different. And I feel like that wouldn't have happened as much if we were in Vegas, when we were in Vegas. Does that make sense? Yeah. She wouldn't know anything because she's homeschooled. Well, I ain't going. She don't go nowhere.
Circling back, when your father mentioned helping out with his uncles or great uncles on the farm, how has the lack of water impacted things on the farm that you guys live at?
Here, like in Lakeview, where mostly where the water problem is at, because they don't have any land in Helena. But here, it kind of stopped things a little bit because they have, when you coming in, did you guys come through the Lakeview?
We came by through a lake that had like trees in it.
Did you see a sign that said "Welcome to Lakeview"? Did you drive past it?
I did.
Like, and you saw like a house by it?
Yeah.
That
land right next to that house is our family land. It's Beans. And
We go by that.
yeah, that we have that, and we have some other land. And my uncle, I'm not sure. My uncle he doesn't really talk to us about it, but he does talk to my dad. But it did slow things down a little bit, because they're always out there. Well, yeah, one of them is always out there, but they're very
like our one that my dad helps the most. He's 87.
87.
And what's his name?
Joe Perry Jones. They call him JP. And then our Uncle Jose, he's a little younger. He does the most. He does the most. Him and my Uncle Otis. My Uncle Otis is the youngest. They farm. He farms. He lives in it's like right before you get to Snow Lake. He lives right up there, and he farms for our land down there, and he farms for other people too.
So we have a lot of, like, my dad said that our great-grandma, she had a whole bunch of acres of land, but it was stolen and sold off by her sons and stuff like that. Stolen by other people and sold off by her sons. So we don't have nearly as much land as we originally had when she was farming and her husband and stuff like that.
And so. Is this your grandma Gertrude?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Trudy.
That's what they call her. Trudy. She was a businesswoman.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, from what we've been told.
Do you have any? Did you all meet your great grandmother at all?
She passed. She died in I think 1999. She passed away. I was born in 2001. My dad is the only one like that who knew her. My mom didn't even. I don't think my mom met her. Because she died in Maryland. She died in Maryland. She lived in Baltimore when she passed away.
And do y'all know what parts land, like what land that your grandma owned that was sold? Do you know where that's
I think
located?
she has some land in Helena.
Okay.
And then definitely Snow Lake.
Definitely some more land in Snow Lake. We still have our main farmland that had the main house on it.
That we used to have cows.
We used to have cows and
pigs
horses.
and horses and all that
When we first moved here the first time, we saw those animals, but when we moved back, we didn't have them no more because there was nobody there to take care of them, I think.
Our uncle sold
Our uncle sold them off.
animals.
But if there was somebody here, I feel like if my dad was here, they would have been taken care of.
And are you all expected to take up the land once your great uncles or your father pass away, or what are your aspirations?
Well, I don't want to, but our great uncle wants us to.
Yeah, he does.
I want to, but my brothers don't even want to.
Yeah, they're not into the farming. They're
think
technology
it was.
kids.
Yeah, they like games.
We have a cousin. He farms right now.
How old
He's
is he?
17. 17. He farms in Hughes, and that's what he wants to do. And my other cousin, he goes to the University of Pine Bluff. And I think his major has something to do with farming.
Yeah, it's agriculture.
Agriculture. They have this really cool major, and that's what he's into. And I think he was talking to my dad about it. I think he wants to take it over. I'll help in like the business aspect,
Yeah.
but as far as like being out there, I don't do that.
And then, what do you guys want to, like, I guess growing up is relative, but what are your aspirations? What do you want to do?
I graduated from cosmetology school last year. That's what I was getting into. I still want to do that, but I think I want to help people. That's like that's why I got into cosmetology, because I enjoy making people feel better about themselves. So I don't know exactly what I want to do, but I know I want to help people, and I do enjoy coming down here and seeing this and helping with this, and I think I could see a future in something like this.
I want to be a photographer, and I do YouTube and stuff, so everything with that. So really that, like a photographer, and then a teacher, because right now, well, in the fall I'm going to the community college and getting my associates in early childhood education, then transfer somewhere. I don't know where. But yeah, a teacher and a photographer.
I want to be a cosmetologist too, but I also want to be a teacher, like 5th grade, and a social media influencer.
He's already starting now.
Speaking about social media, I know you run the social media for the Elaine Legacy Center. How do you see social media impacting places like Elaine or other places in Phillips County? And how do you think it'll bring like awareness at all?
I definitely do, because like when you're looking on TikTok, it's so easy for things to go viral so quickly and for attention to be brought to things. So I feel like once I really like get it all started, we'll be able to bring more attention, maybe get more funds for this place so they can finish the building and things like that. So I definitely think that it'll help this situation, and then posting about the water crisis, because you never really hear, like you wouldn't hear about it unless people talk about it. Like we know about Flint, Michigan because it's been going on for a long time. This has been going on for a long time, but it's recently started getting bad, so no one really knows about how like we have a water problem here, and you know, it's like a little town nowhere, no one really knows. So I definitely think it'll bring a lot of attention to it and help, you know, bring stuff to places. Yeah.
Kind of on the same thing, what would you say is your connection to the Elaine Legacy Center besides the social media aspect of it?
Definitely the same. History. I love history. So like when I'm here, I get to like work on that aspect, like social media, and then I also learn so much stuff every day from like the older people here and things like that. So I definitely get to learn more, and I love learning. So it's always a good thing to have more information put in your brain. So I think that's what it is, just learning stuff.
I learned, my mom had me do African American history in high school, so I learned a little bit about the Elaine massacre, but I didn't learn everything. So when I found out that they were doing this, I was like really excited about it. So like being here, I enjoy it a lot. Like I think that it's good that somebody is putting that into here, because there was really nothing here. No? Okay.
have any more questions? Okay, well, maybe JoAnn's cooking up a question. Is there anything you guys would like to say about Elaine or about yourselves before we end the interview?
I don't know if they said this already, but it's like learning what I learned here about the Elaine massacre. They found 3 mass graves and they're planting trees. So I learned that, and that was insane because when I took African American history too. So like when I had heard about it and I started like getting more into the research and hearing what it said is that one article said that 20 African Americans died, and then it was like then another one said 100. Then it showed like it's so many different things, and learning that there's like mass graves, and then they told me that bodies were thrown in the lake and the river and things like that. Like it's insane how none of this stuff is in history books, and you wouldn't learn it unless you were learning specifically about something. Because when I took history, U.S. history, when I was in like the 8th grade, we didn't hear about this at all. Like we heard about the Tulsa massacre and stuff like that, but you wouldn't hear about Elaine massacre or anything like that. So it's crazy how we had to learn African American history to hear about this tragedy.
Yeah, and similarly on that thread, how does it feel knowing that prior to the Elaine massacre, there was formerly a lively community full of resources and booming economy, and how does that make you feel compared to how everything is now?
I think it's like, I wouldn't say unreal, but it's crazy how, I don't want to say haters, but like kind of like they're haters, because it's so easy. I feel like especially back then, it was so easy for the white community to build things up because they got all the resources. So like African Americans, but we had to find everything ourselves and build everything ourselves. So they're working harder to build what they want, and then they just take it away. And it's so easy for them to just take it away and hide the history. So I think that like it made me angry because it isn't fair that all this stuff happens and no one talks about it and they hide it and all this stuff. So definitely that's how it made me feel.
Yeah, this when Jennifer was talking about how they crossed out pages and things like that, that what you just said made me think about it too. Like we have no idea how much was actually lost and taken away. And Elaine was like one of them. I wouldn't say, it wasn't like downtown Helena, but it was still a lot more things there. Like my dad said there was a dollar store here when he was a kid. And when he came back, he said everything, even in Helena, Helena had a JCPenney's when my dad was a kid. Mm-hmm. They had all types of stuff. And after like, I feel like that's what started it here, and it trickled down there too. But I feel like the Elaine massacre is kind of happening again in a way, because instead of them killing us, they're taking what we have left, which is not a lot. So that's how I feel. Okay. No? Okay.
And so what do reparations mean to each of you? What does it look like?
Okay. Reparations. Interesting question. I don't know. Like, giving back what you took is fair, because all these farmers work so hard for their land and earning their land or whatever, and then it was just taken away from them, and then all these people here now are getting profit off of all this stuff when they did the work originally, basically, kind of, I feel like. So like, you know, it's just only fair that they get back what was stolen from them, because it's ridiculous the difference, like, from how you can really look in Elaine, the white side, because it's technically still segregated, because it's the white side and the black side. Even when we moved here, our cousin, because we were going to move in Elaine, our cousin told us, she said, y'all can't live over there, that's the white side, because, like, they don't let black people live over there. And then the houses, how the houses look versus the white side and then the black side is crazy, because, like, these people are still profiting off of this land that their ancestors, their grandparents, great-grandparents, great-grandparents stole, and then these black people are still over in poverty, and these people are rich off of the land, and it just isn't fair if it's more than enough land for everybody to earn and work on. So that was a great answer, Brianna. Okay.
You know, I've been listening in on some interviews today, and no one's really talked about that there's a white side and there's a black side to Elaine. Where is that boundary drawn in this town?
I don't, you know? Oh, okay. You know. I don't know.
It's kind of drawn right down the middle. Like Dollar General, I would say, is like the center of it. Because when you think about it, there's 2 sets of apartments down here, and they're both on one side. And then there's the senior apartments, which is kind of on the whiter side. But like you can kind of see it if you was to go drive down there. You'll see one side, grass is nicely cut, everything looks all nice, and then the other side, things don't look as nice. Or even the houses, the quality, you can see the difference. And I feel like that people don't talk about it because it's something that they're used to. We're not used to it. So that's how I feel like. Because my dad noticed it, but he did notice it. And when we was driving through Elaine yesterday. I was like, look, Dad, you can't see the difference between the houses. And I feel like it's like a straight shot down the middle. Down the middle.
I was going to say something, but I think I forgot. Wait. Okay. I think like with that, it was a big like culture shock too. Seeing it, and then also when we first moved down here, we heard there was a pool, which is the pool that was down there. We drove past the pool, and you can see the people, like, you know when people give looks, they immediately, like all the people playing the pool, they immediately just stopped and looked at our truck and was just like.
I think that's because our truck was a little intimidating. It was a big black truck with dark tint.
But you could tell.
You could tell.
We
did have the windows down, but they were
suspicious.
That's why my dad wasn't gonna say that it was segregated. I also do believe that it's a private pool, but if there's kids here, I feel like it should be open to everybody, just like the Helena pool. The Helena pool is open for everybody, but the Elaine pool is for like family and that family's friends, and it's right over there. So it kind of sucks.
It's not fair. All these resources that are only for certain people that could be used by everybody.
I know we've been talking a lot about, like, obviously the extensive history that Elaine has and how it's affected a lot of people. But would you say that there is a strong sense of community here in Elaine, or does it feel like things are more isolated, everybody's in their own world, or how do you feel about the community here?
When it comes to sports, there's a big community here. They play basketball at the high school, and people will come out here just for that. We had a Juneteenth festival, we had 2, and a lot of people came and showed out for that. So it's like when certain things are happening, we will all come together and not act a fool, and then sometimes we won't, which will cause us not to do anything. So I feel like depending on what it is, we can come together as a community and everything will be okay.
I also kind of agree, like, even with the food bank that James White does here, he, like, gives food to the seniors and anybody who, like, needs food and everything like that. I feel like that's a big way, because it's so many, even here they have the kids come here every week. They come here, it's cold, like it's cool in here. They have it's a safe place for them to just relax and eat, to feed the kids, because a lot of the kids, their parents are out working all day, so there's no food for them to eat in the house or anything like that. So he brings the kids here and do that. So I think a lot of the community is James, because he does a lot for this community with the giving out the food. He has a store on the corner and things like that. Like he does a lot for this community, more than most. So I feel like a lot of that is him too.
And could you each share your favorite memory here in Elaine, from whether it's from childhood or recently?
Definitely working here, I think, because I've met, like, even now, because, like, I didn't think I'd get all these opportunities to, like, meet new people and learn things. So I feel like today, honestly, would be, even though it hasn't been over yet, but, like, I didn't think this would be something that I'd do. So, like, just working here is a good memory for me, because I've made so many connections already, and I've only been here for, like, a month and all stuff like that. So definitely just that part.
For me, it's family. I met a lot of people that I didn't know I was related to, or I did know, but I didn't really get to know them. And, like, being around them and, like, not growing up, I had that, but I didn't know them. But now here, I'm getting to know everybody. For me, like, here, it'll be that and hanging out with my cousins and things like that.
I got to make a couple of new friends here that I didn't have because I'm homeschooled. And I don't really do that much stuff. But, like, Mr. Johanna was doing art with the kids a couple of weeks ago. He just stopped. And I think that was my favorite one, the art.
So cute.
Okay, do any of you guys have any final thoughts before we wrap up this interview?
This was great. You guys are amazing. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you guys for coming out and visiting us. And I'm glad people actually know about this place that are all the way from Florida. I've never been to Florida.
I've never been to Florida.
Yeah. So that's really cool.
Well, on behalf of the Sonoma Proctor Oral History Program, I want to say thank you so much for taking your time and speaking to us about all of your experiences. And that concludes
I did have one thing to say.
Continue.
It's about this. Okay, so when we lived in Lakeview, it was farmland all around us. We used to get migraines and headaches from the spray. Like, I used to get migraines every day. And when we moved to Helena, now we live right by the college.
It stopped.
It stopped. So I definitely think the pesticides made us sick. Our dog got sick too. He died. I think that made him sick too because he was always outside and the tractors driving by blowing that air and the dust and all that stuff like that. So I definitely think that the pesticides that they spray on that stuff makes the people down here sick. So I just want to share that information.
They asked Dad that question.
Do you mind if we ask more questions about that?
Yeah.
I don't know if we're going to be turned off, but were other community members sick? Like, what kind of illnesses did you see, or was it just migraines, headaches?
I think it was migraines and headaches. My cousin, when she lived like about 5 minutes from us. She used to have migraines, so she stayed in that house all the time. And now her migraines, she still gets them, but they're not as bad as they used to be. And she grew up down there. Mm-hmm. So I feel like if she would have stayed there, it'll be worse. And she stayed in an area where there's nothing but farmland too. Like it was, it was where we stayed at. It was a field right across from us.
Mm-hmm. Surrounding
us. It was our house and it was our neighbor's house. And then we could hear the planes flying by to spray, or whatever flying by to spray, and then wake up with headaches. It's not good.
Has there been like some sort of organizing around this, maybe to spread awareness, or?
I don't think so, because I don't think no one makes that connection that they think that's where it comes from, because they're used to it.
We just moved here. So
and we realized like, hey, this isn't normal. Like she didn't always get headaches until we moved in that house.
And do you know what company sprays the pesticides?
I think it depends on which farming company is over that land. So if it's D-Line or Griffin Farms, I feel like they probably hire somebody to do it for them.
Speaking of Griffin Farms, is that in any way connected to the Mr. Griffin? You guys might not know this individual, but another individual mentioned a rich white farmer who took some land from. I was wondering if those two were related.
I think they are related. There is a Griffin house coming down Highway 44.
Oh, that's that big house.
That big.
See it?
It's a really big house.
Big house.
I saw it and I was so confused.
Yeah, I think that's them or their family, but I think they are connected because down here, everybody knows everybody. Everybody's connected.
So we found cousins that we didn't even know were our cousins when I started working here. Some kids that are related on my dad's side.
So it's like everything down here like that is connected. I think that's if it's not him directly, it's somebody in his family, because they'll have people here that's their family or that they trust to look over everything while they're somewhere else. Mm-hmm. Like I think the man that's over D-Line Farms isn't from here.
Mm-hmm. Didn't she say? Oh, I think someone else, Jennifer, was talking about one of the. I think she was down here was from Missouri.
I think that's either D-Line or one of them. They're not here, but they have people like our neighbors were Hispanic. Mm-hmm. He worked for D-Line, and he's not from here. He's from Mexico.
They live in that house for free because he works with Elaine.
So they give you
a
free house that they pay the bills and everything in.
The house we used to live in used to be
a farmer's house. It used to be a farmer's house.
Farmers used to live there. And
he rented it out to us. But they let you stay there rent free as long as you work on their farm. And I don't know, I'm not sure how much they get paid. I think they get paid minimum wage.
But we see the same, like, because, we learn all the farmers here get paid on Sundays. So we see all the Mexican people in the stores only on Sundays.
I used to work at City Trends in Helena. Every Sunday, the same group of people would come in.
And you see them all in one van all together.
He did not speak English. But told them how much total was, and they would take out like a handful of money. They got paid in cash. Mm-hmm. And they left out. That was every Sunday. And
someone earlier was saying that the gas station up here only takes card, correct? Mm-hmm. So there's only certain places that they can go.
You got to go the closest gas station here. You can go to Melwood, which is going right before you get to Snow Lake, like going right there. I believe they take cash. I'm not sure. But the one as soon as you get into town, that's card only. Mm-hmm. When One Stop was open, I think it was called One Stop, the Elaine gas station or whatever. The gas is overpriced, but I think that was cash. But the closest place I believe to get gas from here is in Barton, Walnut Corner.
You talked about the rising presence of like Hispanic, Latino population. Around when or how long have you been living here?
Since 2018.
2018.
And in your time living here, like, do you know around when you saw the shift or the influx, or has it always been here?
It was always, we saw the shift in the South Africans that moved here. Mm-hmm. We saw them. It wasn't them at first, and then about a couple years ago, my dad met one. He had red hair, and he didn't sound like he was from here. And my dad asked him where he's from. He was from South Africa. He works here. He also got paid, I think he got paid less than minimum wage, but they don't pay them more. Like my Uncle Tony, my cousin, she's half white. He gets paid, I think he gets paid $12 or $13 an hour. Arkansas's minimum wage is $11.25, $11.75. He gets paid a few more than that. But the rising, I think it's always been the same. But I think they, probably a few, maybe before we got here, that's when they brought them here. Because a lot of people that used to work on farms lost their jobs. And I feel like they kicked those people out to bring them in to pay them less. Mm-hmm. That's how I feel. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, in what other ways does this big industrialized, mechanized farming impact the community in ways that might not be well known?
I think a big thing is I think mostly men, because, farming is like a men thing. It's like you grow up here, you're farming, your parents tell you to farm. And it's like, I think that's a big future for a lot of the boys down here, is that they start off young as farming. Like, my boyfriend told me a while ago, his grandpa, all he did was farm, but his grandpa told him that he needs him to do better. Like, get out and don't just be farming, because that's all that they have down here really to do, is to farm, to make good money, and some is just for a livelihood is farming in here. So
that's why my grandma sent my dad away. Mm-hmm. So because he used to help my uncles on the farm, and she didn't want him to be a farmer, so she sent him away to California. But I feel like that's all they know here, and that's only because of all of our stores that are closing. Those are the only jobs that people, like young men or boys, can get, that or like truck driving or something like that.
That's a big thing.
That's a big thing, truck driving. We know young truck drivers. I know a lot of people that went to school strictly for that and just are always on the road, or they drive trucks for the farms, like to take it to the granary or stuff like that.
Lack of jobs is a big thing in our town, city, like Helena-wise at least, because so many stores are closing. Like, I think it was like one or two, not stores, but like, it would be like, it isn't many places to get a job here, and then so many people who need a job, no one's hiring anymore. Like, I've been trying to get a job since March, and I just got this one here last month. So like with, Phillips County being the poorest county, and then it's because we don't have any resources. There's nothing for anyone to do. There's no jobs for anyone to have, so they farm. So I think that's a big thing too.
I know you said it was job opportunity, like farming was for typically the boys. What are the women expected to do here?
That's a very, very, very good question. Nothing. Like, there's nothing for us to do. Like, nursing. They go going to school, seeing. My grandma, she worked at the nursing home in Helena at Crest Park. Like, stuff like that. There's nothing really for them to do. I've never heard of any of the women in my family driving a tractor. None of them.
Just the boys.
Just my uncles and her brothers and their boys. But that's it. Like, I don't feel like there's anything, unless we work at, like, I worked at Dollar General and City Trends and places like that. Like, that's about it. Unless you go to school and get from out down here. That's the only way you'll make a decent living here.
That's good.
I just want to thank you all. You guys have given us so much. And, I mean, I think we all here are, personally, like, I'm going to go on record and I'm going to say I feel for you. And I also, like, am proud of you, and even though we just met. And I'm just so glad that I got to be here. And I think I can speak for all of us that I'm just so happy that we got to talk to you today. So I'm going to do my fun little outro, which is on behalf of the Samuel Proctor Oral History Program. I want to say thank you for your time today. And that concludes our interview.
Nice.
Thank you.
This was so fun.
Yeah, we've never did anything like this before. I've been wanting to talk.
Play the middle or the top.